Hey, what the hell is this?
It's a glow rod. It's what we got.
Does it work?
Well,
Guess so.
It's happening again. Well, I mean, come on now. Who's surprised? But anyway, you see all these people in power have no problem eating crow because the only thing they're going to do is put Grey Poupon on it and some kind of high dollar spice from the East India Trading Company that most of us cannot afford. Okay. Done the one already with state of Michigan where the comptroller, she sat up there and said, oh, this is kabuki theory, blah, 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 blah. Then bam, what happens here? China citizen from China voted in Michigan. If he wouldn't have went back to try to correct something, he wouldn't have got caught. Then they said that they can't take it out of the system, that it's just there. Sorry. Yeah, you voted illegally. Yeah, we're going to talk mean to you, but I mean, yeah, well, sorry about that. Y'all just going to have to, well, yeah, we're charging you, but charging him with what? What's going to happen? Yeah, look, let's be for real. We know what's going to happen to this Chinese national charged with voting illegally in Michigan. Nothing is going to happen to him. That's why they do it. They know there's no consequence. There's no consequence that's going to be levied on them for doing it. A paper tiger. That's what the United States has turned into, a paper tiger. The only ones that can't get away with going around doing what they want and kicking up stuff is natural born American citizens. Now we're not afforded that. No, your ass is going to jail. But you can come from somewhere else and come here and do whatever the flip you want. So that brings us to this. Now, I'll go ahead and play this. This is from today. Oops. Wrong button. Might help if I click the right one. This is from today. Okay? It's 4 hours old. So let's go ahead and play it. And, y'all know the rules. You got to stop it a couple of times, fair use and all that other good stuff. Okay? All right, let's go.
Officials are challenging the validity of more than 2,000 ballots from self-declared non-citizens.
Self-declared non-citizens. See, because that's the thing now. They saying, we ain't determined. Oh, they trying to stop the voting ballot for this. No, these self-declared words mean things. Well, mean thing to us people that think. Self-declared.
The judge ruled Sunday that election officials can dispute those ballots, but right now the DHS, who has records of those non-citizens, is refusing to disclose the information. The DOJ.
Listen. The judge says, yeah, but the Department of Homeland Security, they need to change that name. Because what you do and what your title is don't match. Department. Well, they are a department. They got that. They got the D part right. Of Homeland Security. Apparently, they have a different definition of those two last words than the majority of us do.
Disclose the information. The DOJ also refusing to intervene. Now elections.
The DOJ, the DHS refuses to release the information, And the DOJ, Department of Justice, another one, well, they can keep the D because they are a department. Justice refuses to intervene on self-described illegals voting. Wrap your head around that. This is where we're at. And we're about ready to get 4 more years of it. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it.
Officials are asking state senators to step in and help. Another live look for you right now over Atlanta, where elections officials delivered more than 3,000.
Atlanta. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, boy. Well, let's see if another water line. I haven't watched this yet, y'all. It's only a minute and 52 seconds long, but I got to come. Yeah, I mean, maybe they had another water line break that turned out it wasn't a water main. It was like a little water line like that goes to a freaking drinking fountain or something.
1,000 absentee ballots to voters late. A judge ruled state senators to step in and help. Another live look for you right now over Atlanta, where elections officials delivered more than 3,000 absentee ballots to voters late. A judge ruled on Friday that voters who received their ballots late can return them by November 8th, 3 days after the election, as long as they're postmarked by tomorrow. Sunday, a Georgia judge rejected a GOP lawsuit there attempting to block counties from opening election offices over the weekend to allow voters to hand in mail-in ballots in person. However, the RNC is celebrating a win after GOP poll workers were in fact allowed into 4 election offices for the ballot counting over the weekend.
Yeah, because at first they were blocked, but yeah, they were blocked. No, we don't need you here watching. How do you expect us to do some skullduggery if you're standing here watching us?
Party Chair Michael Wally writing on X like this: following our efforts, our poll watchers have now been let into the building in all 4 Georgia counties. We have eyes on the room as votes are being counted. Turning now to North Carolina, where Republicans are asking the state's Supreme Court there to intervene in a lawsuit involving overseas ballots. They argue election officials are allowing an unknown number of ballots from voters who have never even lived in the state and requesting a response by today.
Wow. Now, in full disclosure, I did do a mail-in ballot. I remember because I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fayetteville. And it was during the election year, but we were overseas. We were out of the continental United States. I'll leave it at that. And anybody that was in 82nd Airborne knows how that goes down. You never know where you're going to end up. But be that as it may, and I remember it like it was yesterday. They handing us all the ballots, but our mail is express. You know, we're government. We sign it, fill it out, give it back. You know, first sergeant take it, and it goes somewhere. I'm quite sure it just goes probably on the next thing, smoking, coming back to going back to Fort Bragg. Coming back to North Carolina. But anyway, I never had any problems. Never had any problems. But like I said, but that was military.
Already, more than 4.2 million North Carolina voters have cast their ballots. That is 57% of the state's entire registered voters group.
I made a video when I was talking about, I'm gonna keep suckers. They ain't gonna flag me. I'm gonna keep doing this, about how the storm just magically hit a couple of places and hit them hard. And I was wondering how, with the power down, internet down, all this other stuff, that's going to hamper a lot of people from voting. And these are red places, And people, Virginia ain't red. Virginia ain't been red, and I couldn't tell you when. You got little pockets of red, but Virginia is overwhelmingly blue. But, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Carolinas, some of Georgia, and decimated Florida too. A lot of Florida. Florida, I said, look at things. Florida and North Carolina got it. It's a toss up. I ain't gonna say who got where. All of them got it bad. But I was wondering how that was going to affect this election season.
With turnout in western counties hit hard by Hurricane Helene outpacing the rest of the state, believe it or not. Right now, more than 160 lawsuits are flooding the courts. We will keep a close eye on all of that for you. It is busy here at the live desk this morning. Updates online as we get them, Jen.
And Iowa officials can now challenge hundreds of ballots. Hold on a second. Okay, let's go, lady.
Today, a federal judge declined to grant an injunction on the Secretary of State's challenge of non-citizen registered voters. Last month, Paul Pate compiled a list of about 2,200 potential non-citizens who have voted or registered to vote in Iowa. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in studio to break down how the judge reached his ruling. Alex?
Well, Larissa, that lawsuit was filed by the ACLU on behalf of LULAC.
Somebody put a little too much cinnamon in his latte.
Of Iowa and 4 recently naturalized citizens who appeared on Pate's list. Critics say the state is discriminating against people's country of origin, while the state argues this is about making sure only U.S. citizens vote. On Sunday, federal judge Stephen Locher ruled that Secretary of State Paul Pate can continue challenging whether non-citizens can vote. Judge Locher explained in his ruling that the U.S. Supreme Court allowed a more aggressive move in Virginia. That case removed voters from the rolls based on discrepancies between voter registration records and citizenship records. The ruling also pointed to another U.S. Supreme Court case from Pennsylvania that refused to review an electoral law on provisional ballots. Joe Henry with LULAC of Iowa says this is not the outcome he had hoped for.
We are disheartened. The Secretary of State should never have been allowed to do this at the very last moment. It placed a higher standard of responsibility on these naturalized citizens.
The ACLU of Iowa shared similar grievances, saying in a statement, "We are obviously disappointed with the court's decision not to outright block Secretary Pate's directive."
Basically, no, you were supposed to stand down and let non-citizens vote. Basically, that's, it's the ACLU, so what do you expect?
Which we still fear threatens to disenfranchise eligible voters simply because they are people who became citizens in the past several years. Judge Locher's ruling added that granting an injunction could actually do more harm than good. For example, in Johnson County, hundreds of letters have already been sent to registered voters telling them to bring proof of citizenship to their polling place. The ruling argues that demanding Pate end these efforts could ultimately cause confusion. In response to the
How can that cause confusion? Are you a citizen, yes or no? Yes. Okay. Zippel bitte. Well, here it is right here. Okay, thank you. Step over there to booth number 3 and go ahead. Are you a citizen of vote? No. Okay, then, sir, you can't vote. Why not? Because okay, let me ask you again. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen? I said no. Then, sir, you can't vote. Why not?
ruling, Pate said in a statement, U.S. elections are for U.S. citizens, and ensuring only eligible voters participate in Iowa's election process is essential to protecting the integrity of the vote. The federal government previously confirmed that 250 names on Iowa's voter registry appeared to be non-citizens. This ruling requires some voters to use provisional ballots. LULAC of Iowa encourages all naturalized citizens to bring their naturalization papers or passports to the polls just in case. Larissa?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Matter of fact, let's look in on Pennsylvania. Okay, here we go.
Supreme Court is allowing Virginia officials to remove 1,600 alleged non-citizens from its state voter registration rolls. Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin is calling the decision a victory for common sense, while civil rights groups argue it suppresses voting rights. They say the ruling violates the National Voting Rights Act of 1993, which prevents states from removing eligible voters from registration lists 90 days before a federal election. ABC News senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer joins me now for more on this. Devin, break down this ruling for us. What's the latest here?
Diane, the Supreme Court overturned two lower courts yesterday, and they didn't explain their decision, but we do know that 6 conservative justices were in favor of allowing Virginia to move forward. The 3 liberal justices dissented, and what it means is that the state can move forward with removing 1,600 voters from the registration list. That means any of those voters who cast a mail-in ballot, that ballot will be invalid, not counted. If any of those voters show up at a polling place for early voting or on November 5th, they'll be turned away. They won't be on the list eligible to vote. That said, the state of Virginia does allow same-day registration for anyone who may have been erroneously caught up in this purge. They could still vote, but for the lion's share of those 1,600 people, Diane, they effectively cannot vote next Tuesday unless they take some additional action.
So they are alleged non-citizens. How are officials in Virginia going about identifying and confirming that these people are not citizens?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Oh, and this is Virginia. Dang it, I clicked on the wrong one. I meant to click on Pennsylvania, but don't worry, we get it.
And therein lies the controversy here, because Virginia compiled this list, Diane, based on state DMV records. And those records are when you sign up for a driver's license, you have to check on their citizen or non-citizen. Virginia went into its DMV files. They pulled all the people who either checked non-citizen or left that box blank and compiled this list and said, well, these are non-citizens. Not necessarily. As you can imagine, if you've ever applied for a driver's license, they last sometimes 5-10 years. So certainly there are a number of people on that list, it's been confirmed now, who are newly naturalized citizens who weren't citizens at the time they applied for their driver's license. So they can vote. Other people erroneously left the box unchecked or got confused, checked it the wrong way. Citizens who are now caught up in this. So just because there's a big list doesn't mean all those people are undocumented and ineligible voters. And that's the big controversy around this case and others around the country.
Devin, it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote. So would they have had to prove citizenship when they registered to begin with? What protections are?
I know she just got to do her job, but illegals been falling through the cracks voting. And shoot, look at all the people that got arrested here, poll workers in Texas over the last 3 elections. And apparently they don't have no problem going to jail because I guess they're seen as heroes in a certain way. And they don't do any real hard time. But, but the damage is done. But anyway, onward.
Place to prevent this from happening?
Yeah, there's no federal requirement that you have to prove your citizenship to register to vote in a federal election, Diane. That said, you do have to attest in every state that you are a citizen when registering to vote. That's what we were just talking about here. If you lie on that box when you check citizen and you are not, you can be put in prison for up to a year. You can be deported.
You ain't going to jail and you ain't getting deported.
If you are a non-citizen, and if you are an immigrant, you can be denied future legal immigration status. So the penalty for doing this is high, and that's why a number of immigrant advocates.
No, the penalty may be high on paper, but in reality, it's not gonna. Okay, show me the gang. Show me the gang of people that were rounded up and deported for saying they were citizens and voted illegally. Show them to me. Show me a short list. Just a short list. Show me the B list. Show it to me. Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Say that all of these claims of non-citizens registering to vote in large numbers is simply way overblown. The evidence isn't there, and the penalties alone are so intimidating to a lot of these.
Yeah, the penalties are just like the penalty for entering the United States illegally is so intimidating that 10 million more than came in the past 2 years. And they got WIC and housing vouchers and free apartments and debit cards to buy food and groceries and diapers and whatever. Yeah.
Folks that they don't want to risk their status.
So let's talk a little bit more about that, Devin, because former President Trump has repeatedly claimed that Democrats are encouraging illegal immigrants to vote in the election. So what does the data show on that?
Well, the data is remarkably clear, Diane, that non-citizen voting is vanishingly rare. And we have poured into a number of studies conducted by groups on the right and the left. I'll give you one. The Conservative Heritage Foundation has compiled a database of confirmed cases of non-citizens voting. Over 1 billion ballots cast over a decade. They found fewer than 100 cases, Diane. So this is a really small number of people. It does happen, but not in the scale of the level that many conservatives allege.
All right, senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer, thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
I am the vice chairman of the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners.
Folks,
And
I'm going to just put the link to this one because this one's a half an hour long, and I'm not going to do that to y'all. So I'll just put the link in the description box of anybody that's interested in seeing it. But of course, we're entertained. Are you entertained? I hope you're entertained. And pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Okay? All right.
Approach and repeat ultimatum in an even firmer tone of voice. Add the words, or else.
Simon Phoenix, lie down on the ground, or else.